Hey y'all, this is Monay
and Travis Miller,
and you're listening to another episode of the Becoming One podcast.
That's what we're gonna change that someday.
What?
Go ahead.
The intro?
Yes.
What's wrong with that?
Just go ahead.
Anyway, so y'all, we want to say, hey, how y'all doing? Welcome back. If this is your first time listening, we want to say welcome. Thank you. We appreciate you for taking the opportunity to listen to this podcast at this very second. And you didn't have to take time out of your schedule to do that, but you did, and we appreciate you for it. If you did not know, you can find us on social media. You can follow our business page at The Miller Initiative on Instagram. You can follow me on Instagram at Monay K. Miller. You can follow him on Instagram at
Travis.N.Miller.
And if you want to listen to our podcast on different platforms like YouTube, you can actually find Becoming One podcast on YouTube as well. And if you want to ask us any questions, share some stories, suggest any topics that you want us to discuss, you can actually email us at becomingonepodcast@gmail.com. And I think I did all the things.
Yeah, and if you have been listening, or if you're a first-time listener or what have you, just let us know what you appreciate and also what you don't appreciate. Either way, whatever feedback you have is more than welcome.
Yes, we definitely like interacting with you guys. We like talking to y'all, having conversations, all the things. All the things is my phrase. I like saying all the things.
Sure.
But anywho, so y'all, it's been a minute. I feel like we haven't talked in a while. I feel like we haven't had an opportunity to share more about who we are and what we do in terms of how we got to where we're at right now. So we're kind of going to go back down memory lane a little bit and talk about what our journey has looked like to get to where we are today in terms of moving from Michigan to Charlotte.
Yeah, and we also just want to let y'all know that everything that we talk about, like, a lot of the stuff is from experience. So we're not just like talking at people, but we've been there. We've dealt with a lot in our marriage, in our relationship. So we're not trying to like look down on anybody. Like, this is stuff that we've also been through, dealt with, or deal with on a regular basis. So
that's facts.
You know, this is what we're doing here, is trying to share our experience, share what we've learned, share our growth, so that somebody else either doesn't have to go through what we've been through or finds their way out of what we've been through, and what we go through. Because a lot of, like y'all know, the first marriage is likely to end half of the time. So it has a 50% divorce rate. The second time is 60. Third time you're at 70, 75, around there. So if you're in the middle of going through something, or something you kind of foresee, like issues or whatever, hopefully you get something here that you're able to find your way out of that, or never have to go through it at all. Preferably never have to go through it. The coaching process works better as a preventative measure. But, you know, some people like to knock their head.
And I think just knowing that, I think people like to always feel like they're not in it by themselves, or like want to feel like it's not just them. And I feel like a lot of times, especially in marriages, with the way that, you know, culture has structured it, it's like, well, you keep everything to yourself. And I'm not saying to just kind of put all your dirty laundry out there, but just even having a community, having accountability, and being accountable to your partner, and just understanding, like, people go through stuff. Individually, you go through things as a couple. And so there's probably nothing that you've gone through that another married couple has not gone through before and been able to conquer.
Right. One of the biggest things that breaks up marriages or relationships in general is money. So it's a big deal, because we put a lot of our time, our life into it. If you think about it, a third of your life, a third of your adult life, hopefully you're not working a third of your life as a child working, but a third of your life as an adult goes towards making money. If you just look at 8 hours a day. Right. And most people that I know, they're working way more than 8 hours a day, and they working on weekends. So you're at a third or more of your life is probably work or money related. So to combine that with somebody else, or to give that to somebody else, is a big deal. And it breaks up a lot of relationships if you can't get on the same page there. If y'all don't see eye to eye, if y'all view money differently and you can't really understand how the other person views it. So it could be a real big deal breaker for a lot of people. So we're gonna touch on that a little bit today. Am I taking over your thought?
No, you're not.
So we're gonna touch on that a little bit today. We're going to talk about how we got our finances in order by actually cutting it in half. So we removed half of our finances, and that's what got our finances in order. We're also going to talk about the move to Charlotte, because that was like the catalyst to all this stuff. But what we say here today, we don't advise everybody to do.
Yes.
This isn't for everybody. What we did, honestly, I wouldn't tell anybody to do, but we did it because that's what we felt like we needed to do. We prayed about it. We talked about it. We knew the risks that we were taking. We also had 2 kids at the time, and later on to be 3, and it worked out, or it's working out. We gonna see.
Well, I think something you said too before we kind of get into the story is that, what we did, we took a risk. And I think because we talked about what the risk entails and what it could look like should it go this way or that way, and knowing what the plan would be should everything just, burst into flames. But I think it's being on the same page and being okay with taking the risk with your partner, knowing what the outcomes could be, potentially, whether it's something that you want to happen or something that you hope doesn't happen, but just knowing that for a vision you have for your family, for your life, knowing that to pursue this could be something great on the other end. And we felt like the great thing that could be on the other end was worth that risk. Yeah,
you want to go ahead and kind of just dive into it, because there's a lot that can be talked about there, so we don't want to waste too much time.
So let's back up. So this was probably, I don't even know, 6 years ago, something like that, 5 or 6 years ago. We were married. We were both working, and all we had at that point was TJ. My job, I was working for the state of Michigan. So I worked, technically it was a 9 to 5, but then I jumped around in departments, and then I would work first shift, and then I was working second shift. I worked very unconventional jobs. I did a lot of things that most people aren't interested in, like CPS, foster care. I worked at a military academy. I was doing a lot of stuff. Travis was in school, graduated, and then he started working. Now, we were both working outside of the city we lived in, which kind of took away a lot of time to be at home, but we were making what most people would consider good money.
We were making good money. We were past 6 figures, so we were making good money. But even though we were past 6 figures, we had a lot of expenses to be able to like upkeep all this, from cars to daycare to, whatever, everything that comes with a life freshly out of school. And it was a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, them student loans don't be playing, boy. Hey, you want to give me my money now, or you want to give it later? So anyway, they came at me right out. So I remember I got that letter, or it was either a letter or email. They was like, all right, so since you've been in school, you've accumulated this many thousands of dollars in interest. You want to give that to me now, or you just want to tack it on and we'll put interest on top of that interest? I'm like, well, dang, man, I just got my diploma. Anyway, so
they don't be caring.
Yeah, so it's just like all them bills just coming up. And but we were making 6 figures.
It didn't feel like it, though.
It was just because, there was a lot. We weren't on the same page financially. I was driving an hour one way which doesn't sound like a lot of time, it doesn't sound like a lot of time to some people, especially in the city. Like, you can easily drive an hour. But it's, honestly, when you think about it, it was like 65 miles one way. And then in the wintertime, it takes longer. It took me one time 3 hours to get to work. Anyway, I worked in Grand Rapids. Monet worked in Battle Creek. So Monet, we lived in Kalamazoo. Monet worked east. I worked north.
And I would have to drive to the west side of town, northwest side of town, to drop TJ off. So I'm driving the opposite direction of work, dropping him off, and then going back the direction that we live in, past our house to Battle Creek. So I was actually still driving about an hour to get to work with the drop off, and then to actually go from the west side of the city to Battle Creek. I was also driving an hour. Probably not as many miles, but still driving an hour.
Yeah, it was just a lot of time. But anyway, there was time wasted in driving, time it's not wasted at work, but there was a lot of time spent. Sometimes I'm working long hours at, I'm not working there anymore. So I was at AECOM. I'm working long hours, and there was days where I would just have to call my friend like, yo, can I just spend the night here? Because it wouldn't make sense. I'm getting to work at 4 a.m., which means I leave the house at 3 a.m., and I would work until dang near midnight. So for me to drive home then drive back, you know what I mean?
Didn't make sense.
It'd be an hour of sleep just to get back to work at the times I needed to get back to work at. So then we'd have to adjust all our schedules. Life just didn't really make sense at the time. We were working. We were making good money. We didn't have any time to actually spend what was left over after we paid the bills and such. TJ was basically being taken care of by other people, which would be daycare, which, I mean, that's the life of, 80-90% of America. So he was being taken care of by other people. They were teaching him stuff that we didn't really agree with or like. Monay was working. She didn't really seem to like her job.
I didn't realize at the time. I after having time to reflect, I worked in a lot of toxic work environments. So there was a lot of misogyny. There was a lot of not racism, but you could tell that the culture of some of the offices that I worked in were not necessarily pro-black.
Racist.
Even just the way that they were, even just the way that they would kind of handle some of the clients. And even when it wasn't like black clients, like just the way they were handling people who were not, socioeconomically, doing well to do. It just were not fun work environments to be in. And so that was just really stressful and overwhelming. They were very classist, and it was just very stressful and overwhelming. And that definitely took a toll on me, because I would go into work, supposedly being in this leadership position, and I have people who are working under me who are just like waiting to see me like fail. Nobody was really supporting me, and that was just the way of the office. That was just the culture. And even the people who were in charge didn't really do much. So I was working, and even when I was working overtime, getting paid time and a half and all that jazz, it was nice money, but
yeah. So it was a lot, and like we keep saying, we were making good money, but stuff just wasn't coming together, and we didn't have the life that we wanted. So what we ended up, I came to Monay after I went on my 3-month Florida trip, job, whatever you want to call it, position. I was in Florida for 3 months, working in Southwest Florida, doing disaster recovery work. So I came back and I was like, yo, I don't know if I can take it anymore. So I can't take how we're doing life right now. So I didn't like the drive. I'm spending 2.5 to 3 hours on the road. I'm working up there for 10, 12 hours a day. There wasn't no real relationship here. It was kind of like a roommate type of feeling. And TJ was being raised by people that we didn't really agree with, and everything was coming up to a point where it was like, this is not the life that we said that we were going to get, or that we said that we wanted. We both were working in the fields that we went to school for, but at the end of the day, what mattered was the life that we have after everything is done.
Yeah.
And we didn't have that. So we said, okay, we want to raise our children. That was the first thing that we talked about, was we wanted to raise our children. So what does that look like? For us, that means that one of us is going to have to quit our jobs. Now, I was making more money and had a higher potential to make more money at the time. So when they quit her job to take care of the kids, and I remember it was like this, it took a minute to settle into the position of like stay-at-home mom.
I felt like a bum. I had, in my adult life, had very short spurts of time where I was not working. I mean, very, very short. So to go from working and being in all these different positions and to be at home, not having any income, felt like a bum. I was trying to find any and every way to not feel as if I was being an inconvenience because I didn't have an income.
Anyway, so Monay wasn't making. When I say that I made more than her, I'm not talking about like $10,000. It was like a few $1,000s more than she had, but my growth was to be more than hers. So hers, like, with we got a little.
All right.
We got a little company down here with a tar. So like, what in the world is ready? I'm about to say something got in this house. Anyway,
y'all know how it is. Y'all know we got kids.
Anyway, my growth was projected to be more, so it made sense financially for her to quit and for me to work. Now, I think at this point, I'm jealous of Monay for being able to be at home with the kids, and Monay's like, I want to work. Let me go, sort of. I think. Is that right or no?
It wasn't. I didn't have the words back then, so it might have come off a little different. But I did not understand what I needed or what I wanted, because going from being around adults who I can have conversations with to being around kids all day, like, I like my kids, but I'm not necessarily a kid person. Like, other people's kids want to be around kids all day. So
you're also more like a older kid type of person.
Yes, teenagers all day. Give me teenagers. But I'm also introverted, which I didn't know that at the time either. So being at home, not having these moments of intentional silence or intentional moments to recharge, I didn't know how to navigate that. And plus, we had a new baby, so that was difficult too.
Yeah, so it was just a lot coming together. And then we said, after we got on the same page with the kids, they were like, yo, after living in Florida for 3 months and seeing sunshine every day, to going back to Michigan, and you look up at the sky and it's like gray and it's rainy or it's snowy.
I don't want it.
Or you drive and then every mile you got to stop because they shutting down the highway.
And slush and the dirty snow.
You're always cold. And I'm like, yo, I actually had seasonal depression and didn't even realize it. Just because that was always a part of my life.
All we knew.
So when I was in Florida and I wasn't depressed, I was like, yo, this is how I want to live my life. I didn't want to necessarily go back to Southwest Florida, but I did want sunshine. And having experienced that, and Monay came down there once.
Yep. Me and TJ flew down there, and I think we were down there for 4 days or something like that.
I'm not sure. It was a couple
Whatever
days.
it was amazing.
But it was just like, okay, I don't have to live like this when we ain't got to be here. Mm-hmm. So why are we still doing this? Why are we still looking up and not liking what we see, but I'm continuously going? It was like, it's literally that little hamster wheel. Well, I guess I just better keep on trotting. I don't like what's going on, but I don't know what else to do, so let me just keep on trotting.
And that was my first time actually thinking, oh, I could legit live somewhere else. I don't have to stay here.
It was one of the top reasons. That's better. One of the top reasons I chose the company that I chose immediately after college was because it had the ability to move.
Bless God.
I just didn't know it would come that quickly. Mm-hmm. So as soon as I was like, okay, Monay, this is what I'm thinking. This is what I want to do. I want to move to Charlotte, Florida, or California. Those are the choices. California would have been, I think it would have been nice, but I think it might have been a bit much just because of how far away it is. Like there would be no going back and forth as far as visiting family and whatnot. But that's like an option that I think we wanted available. Hopefully people take it up in the near future. We've been back home, but it is what it is. So anyway, we wanted Charlotte, somewhere in Florida. I was looking at Miami, and then I think it was like Orange County in California or something like that. California, wherever it was over there, because basically the sun. I wanted the sun, and I wanted beaches. Charlotte is close to like a beach. It's not really like
3-4 hours away.
Yeah, but after going there, I'm not sure if we would really classify that as it's a beach, but it's not like a whole nother conversation.
He's thinking like, well, I'm not. Let me not speak for you. Never mind.
Whole nother conversation. Anyway, it's close enough to what I wanted for me to say Charlotte is a good spot, and plus it was good for growing young black families. It was like a safe haven, if you will. It's not Atlanta, but it's less likely for you to come across like I guess you would say like the country boys, the Confederate flag hanging,
colonizing pitchfork type of
racist. Anyway, it was a good spot for us to raise a family in. In Michigan, Kalamazoo, Grand Rapids area, there's a lot of racist people around there. You know what I'm saying? People done called TJ out his name and, shot off down the road. When I say shot off, they drove. I'm not talking about shooting guns, people. They drove down the road. It just a lot has happened with Grand Rapids and Kalamazoo. And fun, it's not a fun fact, but part of like their training for like those, I don't know what to call them, the good old boys. It's like the gun toting, rifle carrying, insurrection doing people, Mzungus, right? They are trained in Michigan. Didn't even know it. But they are trained for that stuff in Michigan.
Sounds surprising.
Anyway, back to what I was talking about. So we moved. We ended up picking Charlotte. We came down here to visit. We liked what we saw. There was a lot of well-to-do black people. There was a lot of
black people, period.
Yeah, there was a lot of things to do. There was the amusement park. You're close to the beach. There's
close to the mountains.
Yeah, there's sporting events. There's comedy clubs,
professional
whatever
sports teams.
So, and it's all right here. So we picked Charlotte and start sending out emails, applying for jobs to come down here. And all this time, again, we're talking about splitting our income in half. So she's like, she don't want to feel like a bum. I'm like, I hope I can feed everybody. Don't let nobody starve. And for a minute there, I was taking the hit of, okay, I can get this much oatmeal and peanut butter is a good source of calories. And I can eat a cup of peanut butter a day.
Meanwhile, yada, yada. I'm sitting here like, I just feel so bad.
People eating. I'm make it work. So anyway, we moved down here. I just transferred within the company. We moved down here. We make the jump. We cut the income in half. Honestly, we didn't have a bunch of savings. We just said that this is not the life we want, so we got to make it work somewhere else. So we didn't have the savings. We didn't really have a knowledgeable, stable position. There was a good chance just because of the company, yada, yada, yada. But we moved down here. I transferred within the company. I know my uncle lives about 45 minutes away, but we don't know anybody else in the Charlotte area. And we just make that jump and we go because that's what we wanted to do. And people are asking us, hey, why y'all leaving? Both of y'all making good money. Y'all got good positions in the church. You know what I mean? Y'all are active in the community. Why y'all going? Is it a job or are you getting more money to go? And I'm just like, no, this is what we wanted for our family. Oh, and nobody understood. Nobody understood us leaving. It was always the only reason people could even fathom us leaving was because we were getting paid to go do something else for somebody and not because we wanted to do something for ourselves. But we left, we cut our income in half because we wanted more for ourselves.
And, we always talked about it anyway before we moved down here, like the idea of living off of one income.
That was one of our goals.
It would be this way. I'm thinking, we'll be working and then we'll just, finagle it to where we're only living off of one person's
That's
income.
That's what I was looking at too.
But just
somebody gonna make enough for all of it to be on the one.
But I mean, the beauty in it is that because of how we have worked together and been diligent about what we want and the goals that we have and all these other things, when the time comes when all the kids are in school, should, I decide to get a job or whatever, we've even already talked about what that's going to look like and what that money will be for by still keeping and maintaining the plan that we have of living off of one income. Because that way we can grow and develop and plan and do all these other things with this extra money without feeling like we strapped for cash. Because we can still build with that seed money, if you will.
Yeah. So we left, we're here. And just like I said, just being real, it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows when we got here. Like everybody was eating, everybody was fed, everything was taken care of, bills were paid. But it was like that anxiety from on
The
my
unknown.
end. It was like anxiety or stress that I felt on my shoulders of I have to make sure this works because you got kids, you got a wife, and they're all looking at you like, all right, the bill's paid, you got it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it was a lot, and it was a known. Like, I know this is what it means. Like, I know if we go off of one income, if Monay wants to take a trip, she no longer has a job to pay for it herself. I'm definitely paying for it, and I paid for her trips before, but now I'm paying for all the bills and the trips. You know what I'm saying? So it was just a different level of awareness of it. So I was extra tight on the budget, watched it like a hawk, yada yada yada. Like, hey, all right, now you done spent $15 more on the food this week than
He was
you
not being
supposed
that
to.
dramatic, but
Yeah, it was
you
close
get
enough.
the idea.
It wasn't that it wasn't to that level. You know what I'm saying? But I was watching it. I knew when stuff was going over, and I still watch it now. So we're here. We're in an apartment, and yeah, it was what we had at the time. Mm-hmm. So we make that jump, and stuff kind of stables out. We're enjoying life. We have more time. We are seeing the sunshine. We're taking care of our kids, and life was like good. Like it was settling out. We were starting to see more cash stay in our account because the biggest thing that happened was we removed daycare, especially with 2 kids. Like the catalyst for everything for us to do it right then and there was if we got 2 kids, that's going to wipe out Monay's salary
completely.
And again, Monay was making really good money. I was not making that much more money than Monay. Daycare is that expensive that it took away all of her income after taxes.
I might have had like $20 afterwards if both of them was in daycare.
Yeah, so it ended up as if her working would have created, or rather, if one of us didn't stop working, it would have created a bill.
Yeah.
Rather than, just paying for bills. So anyway, when she stopped working, it got rid of that. And when I was just more focused on the finances, I was more diligent about where the money's going, how much are we saving, how much are we keeping, is everything cleared, yada, yada, yada.
In addition to that, I wasn't actually driving. Well, you were going into the office not immediately after we got here. But at some point, you did start going to the office. But even with that, like the office wasn't super far from where we were living. Away. And then I wasn't driving to work like that. Well, I wasn't driving to work, and I wasn't driving like that anyway. So just even with gas, we were saving money there too.
We were saving on everything. We weren't going to a whole bunch of paid events. We were finding free
going
stuff.
out to eat and stuff.
We were cooking at home. The apartment that we had a gym. It was just we just found all the areas that we were wasting money, and we consolidated. We trimmed the fat, and we just got together, got this plan, and started working it.
But even with that too, like I don't think, and if we did, I don't remember, which says a lot. But before we moved, I don't remember us actually sitting and talking about and going through or going over a budget for real. Why are you looking like that?
Because we did.
I said I don't remember.
Monay always got that. It always got on my last nerve. We would go over the budget, and then she would sit there and get like this glazed look on her face, and just like just staring. And I'm like, I know she's not paying attention.
I tried.
And then I would go and look at the account, PNC account.
I'm about to say at one point we had 2 separate accounts, but both of our names were on each account. So you had access to the Fifth Third account, which is where my account was before we got married. And then I had access to the PNC. But for the most part, we were kind of just separately using accounts until we consolidated.
Anyway, I went and looked at the accounts, and I'm like,
watching.
We just talked about this, woman. Like, what's going on?
I was going to work. I was getting lunch.
Every day. I'm like,
it was not.
What's going on? This money's supposed to be here. You know what I'm saying? It's just
not every day.
Poof, gone. It was all.
That's where most of my money went.
And I knew it all came from that glazed look. Whenever I started talking about this needed to be here, this needed to be here, yada 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 yada, she would just like.
It sounded like a lot.
She would just like zone out and just look at me, and then at the end, oh, you're so cute when you're doing stuff.
I don't remember that either.
I ain't here to be cute. I'm trying to get us in order. Anyway, we went over the budget before. It just wasn't sticking. And yeah, but now I'm over the budget. I'm over the money. I'm over the card. I'm over the finances. And Monay's freaking out because she doesn't have income. So now she's listening to how much she needs to be spending.
Even with the grocery store, because I remember back in, when we lived in Michigan, in a store called Myers. You can literally get everything in Myers. Groceries, all it's like Target, but better. And so
I miss Myers.
What?
I miss Myers.
Yeah. And so I remember I would go to the store, and at that time, you got to remember, it's just me, Travis, and TJ. I would spend like $170, $200 like a week. Now I've gotten that down significantly, and there's 5 of us. So even just having the conversation over and over and over and over the course of time can make a change, make a difference. I know y'all watching. When y'all talk about y'all budget, if they're not listening or if they got that glazed look, just keep repeating yourself.
Hey, man, listen. When y'all talk about the budget, pay attention. You know what I'm saying? There's a parable in the Bible that talks about talents, and you can compare talents to money or anything else that you have within your grasp. Mm-hmm. So there was the man with the talents, and I'm going to paraphrase here. Uh-huh. So there was 3 men. Uh-huh. And God gave one man 1 talent, and another man 5, and another man 8. The numbers are different. Just listen, okay? So he gave these men talents, and then one man said, yo, I got to take care of this talent. I'm going to call it money. I got to take care of this money. God gave me this. There's no way I'm about to lose this. God gave this to me. So he took this money, and then he went to the bank, and he just opened up the account, put the money in the bank, and just let it sit there. And he was like, I'm going to make sure I watch this money and make sure this money is good to go. God gave me this money. When God get back, he going to see I still got this money. When he get back, he going to see I still got this money. You know what I'm saying? He coming right around the corner. He going to be here in a bit. And guess what, God? I still got your money. You told me to take care of it. I got it. You heard me? So that's what he did. The next man said, yeah, God gave me this money. Okay, maybe I can go and do a little something. So this man took the money and he bought a hot dog stand with the money. So with that hot dog stand, he sold hot dogs. He made a little bit of cash, yada yada, and he ended up making about 50% more. So he had 8 talents. Now he got 12 talents. 12. We'll call it, each talent is $1,000. So he had $8,000, now he got $12,000. He like, yo, when God get back, I'm about to stunt. Because God, you gave me 8, but I'm giving you back 12. So I'm your real boy. He take care of his money, but I'm giving you more than you gave. You heard me? So now the other man, he got 10 talents. And what this man did is he took a big risk, and well, God ain't all risk and yada yada. But anyway, you'll get my point. Hopefully you listen to what I'm saying and get my point. He got crypto, he got Bitcoin before it blew up. And while guy was at the store, Bitcoin blew up, and this man came back with thousands of talents, or hundreds of thousands, or millions, however you want to picture it. He's like, God, I'm your boy. I multiplied what I gave you. I took care of what you did. I cultivated it, and I gave you back more. So God came back, and the guy that took it to the bank brought him back the same amount. He's like, see, God, I gave it. You gave it to me. I'm giving it back to you. It's the same. I'm giving what you gave. He's like, okay. He looked at the next man, and he gave him back the 12. Hey, he gave you what you gave, but I'm giving you more. Okay. And then you look at the other man, he giving the millions. Plop, 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 plop. Just throwing stacks out. Plop, 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 plop. And God said, okay, the man that just took care of it, whoop, he took it from him and gave it to the man that multiplied it. Anyway, the moral of the story is when you have something in your reach, your talent, whether that's art, photography, speaking, you know how to do finances, engineering, social work, whatever. When you have your talent or your abilities in your reach, what you have to do is cultivate it. And if you don't cultivate it, what is in your grasp will be taken away from you. So the money, and that's what we were doing in the beginning. We had stuff coming in, but we weren't cultivating it. It was just there, and we gave it back. It came in, and we gave it back. And that's kind of the system of working like the 9-to-5s anyway. That's a whole nother conversation as well. So, but when you start to learn how to multiply what's coming in, when you start to learn how to grow, now you're cultivating your talents. And the people who aren't cultivating their talents, their abilities will always flow to the people who are cultivating their talents. And you see it all the time. The individuals who go to work and come home, all their money just goes to paying out. Mm-hmm. And you know who they're paying? The people who have cultivated their talents enough to attract them to pay. So cultivate. When you start taking care of what's coming in and you start to grow it, more comes into you. So what we did, I don't really remember how I got here, but anyway, I don't either. What we did once we got here is
we were talking about the grocery budget, and you said I was getting this glazed over look when we talked about the budget.
Yeah, so that glazed over look disappeared because now she had like hyper focus, and we started to cultivate what came in, and we've been here for 3 years.
Yeah,
we've been here for 3 years now, and on one income we are making. We still haven't hit that 6-figure mark yet on one income. However, we're just under it, and we're keeping more cash in probably, I don't know, a month or two than we did within a year of working with 6 figures coming in.
And I think too, for people who are listening and think that this might sound like an outrageous or an insane story, I think, or I want to challenge you, I guess, to kind of sit back and look or even reflect on like the goals behind what you and your significant other have. We, like he said, might not have hit that 6-figure mark per se, but when you start to, or when I start to kind of just look at my surroundings and people around me and what everybody else got going on, it's like we've never been in a position to where it's like, oh, we can't buy no food, we can't do this, or we can't do that, or, oh, can you cash out me some money because yada, 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 outside of the furlough situation. But we're doing good. Like, we're not in a position to where we feel like we might have to move back to Michigan. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, during that furlough, we was like, we tried.
And it wasn't like an immediate thing, like we were about to get evicted or nothing. It was just like knowing what we got going on. If something don't pop up soon, we're going to have to pack it up and go.
Yeah, Derek really came in clutch, and he helped us stay afloat, like, big time during that furlough situation. I think we talked about that here. If we didn't, we can talk about it again. Don't matter. We can do it. But anyway, where we're at right now is way further ahead financially than where we were when we were making 6 figures. I keep saying that because it's the truth. We're able to save almost as much money. It's just about equal. Our savings per month is almost equal to our mortgage, which is crazy to say.
And our debt has been reduced since we've been here too.
Yeah, our debt has been drastically reduced. We're still paying a lot off this upcoming year. Another one of our student loans will be paid off, and we'll have 2 left. Those some big 2s. I ain't gonna hold you. Them last 2.
There might be 3. I have 1, or I have 2.
I'm pretty sure 2 will be paid off this year.
Oh, bless God.
We'll see.
Bless God.
Anyway, them last 2 gonna be a minute.
They can rapture that out.
Yeah, we're gonna see what happens with those 2. But anyway, as far as what the finances look like, having gotten on the same page, taking that leap of faith, cutting the finances in half, to knowing that we can grow them back, it's been wild. But all it takes is like consistent consistently working together, really. And it's what we did, but this isn't like extra. It's special because it's our story. But what I'm trying to say is it's not exclusive to us. So this isn't something that just we could do. This is any family can apply the same principles and do it. So if you're looking around your life and you don't really see what you like, if you look at your finances and you don't see the finances that you want, or you don't see the style of raising kids that you want, or whatever. If you're looking around you and you don't see what you like, you can change it. Like, you have the ability and the know-how to change it. If you need help, we are more than willing to help you. But you have to be willing first to take that step to say that I don't like what I see, and I'm willing to make that step to change it. So,
And real quick before we go, I do want to share this because I always think it's good when I hear it, and every time he says it, it's like he says it for the first time. Back when we were in Kalamazoo, the pastor at Stone's Church, Pastor Joel Brooks, he would always say everything observable is subject to change, and that we are the primary instrument of change in our lives. So just piggybacking off of what you just said, I mean, if you see something and you don't like it, you're the main driving force behind the change that you want to see in your own life, period.
Yeah, and there's a lot of details that we kind of skipped over. There was a lot of feelings and emotions that we kind of went through. But we can't be here forever to talk about it in one episode.
So sorry.
So if you hear this and you want something kind of like more details or whatever, let us know what you want to hear, and we'll definitely talk about it, expand on whatever portion, the ups and downs, the just moving and finding out you got a new baby on the way, or you know what I mean, or even the conversations that we had to get through and get on the same page after we moved here. So we'll definitely talk about some of those conversations. However, there was just saying there's a lot of details that we skipped over. But the gist of the story is, like we've said multiple times, you can change what's around you. You can get your finances in order. You can get your family in order. You can get your house in order. We moved here 3 years ago. I didn't think we'd get one home in the first 5. We got it in the first 6 months. And we're looking at getting another one now. So within the first 3 years, we went from apartment to, hopefully this year, 2 homes. So we didn't think we'd be able to for the first 5 years of moving. Mm-hmm. So things have fast-tracked.
Yeah, it did.
And hopefully they keep growing. It's pretty expensive to take care of a house and try to grow a business, but you know, we're making it work. We're trying to hit all of our goals here at the same time. So yeah, that's all I got.
Well, y'all, once again, this is Monay
and Travis Miller,
and you just listened to another episode of the Becoming One podcast. All right, y'all, be easy.
Peace. Baby, you're the sun and moon. You're everything between. Just being more diligent about what's coming in versus what's going out.
And then even with the
I was like, what is that? God, is that you? God, is that you? The horns playing, God, is that you? Don't leave me, Lord. Don't leave me, Lord.
We're back. All right. You know, technology. Anywho, what was I gonna say? Well,